first movie already proved God's not dead. Why in the hell do we need a second film? This is the biggest lie I've seen since The Last Exorcism and The Last Exorcism Part 2. Then again, the first God's Not Dead brought in $62 million against a $2 million budget, so might as well prove God's not dead for a second time. More money! In case you don't remember the first film, a Christian student defended his faith against an abusive atheist professor who only hated God because of his mother's death. And after his come to Jesus moment, he was struck by a car and killed, leading the rest of the cast to rock out to some Newsboys. Classy. In the second film, a teacher is put on trial because she mentioned Jesus in her classroom. Phew, for a second, I thought this was gonna turn out to be one of them persecution complex movies. Why the hell am I even talking about this? I thought this movie was already reviewed by a couple of people sitting in a car.
Now then, Dr. Jones, do you understand why you should be using that mouth for praying in schools instead of using foul language that takes the name of the Lord in vain?
This movie was a piece of shit.
Ugh. Well, looks like that review went nowhere, so I might as well be the one to talk about God's Not Dead 2, God Harder. Why? That makes more sense. Also, there's some other company. Let's get into this thing.
Oh, I love to hear the song of creation.
Sometimes you can just tell right away that, yep, it's a PureFlix movie. Here's hoping this is a better Kronk sequel than Kronk's New Groove. God, it's great being a white Christian American. Yes, don't worry, audience. You goddamn right this is fucking America. Put that flag behind the title. We don't want our audience thinking some pussy commie bastard took over the making of our God movies. There's some returning characters this time around, including Chinese Christian, Cancer Liberal, and fuck yeah, David A.R. White as Pastor Dave.
Forever symphony of praise.
He's gonna be the best part of this movie, isn't he?
I'm running late.
I'm glad the sequel turned him into Martin Short from Pure Luck. I don't know why they did it, but I'm glad. Pat Boone looks like he needs something to do. I wonder if there's any new SNL sketches he can complain about. One of our new leads is high school student Brooke Von Parents Just Don't Understand. Wait, is her friend that Sadie Duck Dynasty girl from I'm Not Ashamed?
I know it sounds crazy and it's really hard to explain, but it's about truly living a life for Jesus. And when you do that, you'll have this sense of peace.
Oscar-worthy. Melissa Joan Hart plays Grace. Of course her name is Grace. This would be a much different movie if her name was Altar of Satan. And I guess she takes care of poor Pat Boone while Debbie's away on tour.
Honey, you know I'm not going to be around here forever. And you might want to start thinking about some other guy you want to have breakfast with.
Oh, please tell me they're not banging. I get enough of that from the John Derek movies. Grace is a high school history teacher, just hanging out with her fellow teachers.
Hey, what do you call a teacher with no students?
Unemployed. I got it. How about ecstatic?
You're both right. Retired.
Oh, they have fun. Just don't mention Jesus. And holy shit, it's Reverend Jude returning.
You're back.
Why are you so happy? Last time you were here, we tried going to Disney World, but instead watched a man die.
My pastor gave me permission to finish my doctorate at Hadley, so if that's okay with you, I'm gonna be here for a while.
In other words, we needed an excuse to bring you back for the sequel. I can't complain. I would watch a sitcom about these two. Grace notices right away that Brooke isn't quite into her racing across the room quiz game. But no time to address that sadness. Amy Ryan, cancer liberal, is very nervous that this sequel will give her faith aids. Brooke is saddened over the loss of her brother, and she worries she'll never see him again after death. Grace offers her words of encouragement.
You never let anything get to you. How do you do that? Jesus.
Yes, I as well follow the teachings of Jesus.
Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
If you fuck with the Jesus, you'll get a shitty Pureflix movie made out of it. But Amy is not only still alive, but her cancer is completely gone.
My cancer's... it's gone.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible.
You're reacting to that as if she just won $5 from a scratch-off. I gotta hand it to the newsboys. Most bands don't keep in touch with their groupies after the orgy. And please, Grace, don't confide in Pat Boone.
Yeah, that's the thing about atheism. It doesn't take away the pain, it just takes away the hope.
No one said anything about atheism. Plus, tell me more about how to live life. Movie with a huge persecution complex that needs 2 films to prove God's not dead, as if you yourselves need reassurance. In fact, just talk about anything else but this.
Now, how about some more popcorn?
With a glycemic index of 100, not a chance.
I swear, Grace, if you don't start feeding me better, I'm gonna leave you for a nursing home.
Again, please tell me they're not banging. Brooke's dead brother's things are all taken away to charity, which seems like a dick move, but at least they got that Salvation Army advertising in there. I'd complain, but after seeing Rita Repulsa take time out to eat a Krispy Kreme, this seems like nothing. I guess Brooke can keep one thing of her brother's.
While I was loading one of the boxes onto the truck, I noticed this, and I thought you might want to keep it.
You're not getting a tip. We already have one of these downstairs. Couldn't you have at least left some of my dead brother's toys? But now is the launching point of the movie. Grace mentioning Jesus in the classroom.
Isn't that sort of like what Jesus meant when he said that we should love our enemies?
Yes. The writer of the Gospel of Matthew records Jesus as saying, "You have heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy."
Okay, so she's not preaching or saying one religion is greater than another religion. She was simply answering a question about Jesus and doing so in a historical context. Teachers are allowed to do that. Unfortunately, this is the same angry atheist hotbed that was in God's Club.
And I thought it would be a good thing to start out this morning with a moment of silence.
So it's phones out and a lot of texting of, "Can you believe this shit?" And where's our hero Josh Whedon from the previous film?
My friend Josh Wheaton said you might be able to answer my questions.
Josh Whedon isn't in this film. He's hanging out with his friends, George Roddenberry and Steven Spielstein. But Principal Robin Givens is in no mood for this.
Her question and my answer both referenced Jesus as it was relevant to the history lesson we were discussing. Again, I'd have to say yes.
What were you thinking, Grace?
She's thinking that what she did was perfectly legal and any idiot would know this. Principal Givens even goes so far as to prohibit Brooke from ever coming in contact with Grace. So angry atheist teacher tries keeping kids from Grace. Subtle as a flogging. Grace meets with her lawyer, Tom Endler, played by Jesse Metcalf, who found a project more far-fetched than Passions.
Your kind of case makes everybody uncomfortable. School boards, teachers, parents. Makes them feel yucky.
Listen to your lawyer. What you did will get you 20 years in prison in the Pureflix verse. Oh, thank God. Please give me a legitimate laugh, Reverend Dave and Jude.
Always be ready to give answer as to why you believe and the reason for your hope.
1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15.
Oh, yeah? Well, Matthew 4, verse 9. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure 1,000 people are gonna tell me. The evil school board, led by Ivan Movie Nazi Hair, wants her to apologize, which she refuses to do. I'm on Grace's side. Let them fire her so she can sue them for wrongful termination. Granted, that's not why she doesn't want to apologize, but it'd be why anyone in the real world wouldn't want to.
I would rather stand with God and be judged by the world than stand with the world and be judged by God.
Genocide is still a thing. God doesn't care what you say to a school board. But unfortunately, those heathen ACLU bastards are gonna step in.
Are you sure? Trust me, they've been dreaming of a case like this.
They've been dreaming for a case that they'd lose? The ACLU prosecutor is Ray Wise, filmed in a way that suggests he is actually playing the devil. The devil who desperately wants Brooke to rat against her teacher.
We're going to prove once and for all that God is dead.
What? Why? The existence of God doesn't change the laws. Plus, I'm pretty sure Kevin Sorbo's sacrifice already proved that God's not dead. The random text from strangers told me so. Oh, and by the way, it's pretty easy to research several cases in which the ACLU has come to the defense of Christians, including defending a Christian student's rights to read their Bible in a public school. But you're probably gonna leave out those little tidbits, aren't ya? Now, if you'll sign away your daughter's soul to the devil... yes, yes, delicious souls. At least I'm not the only one who's asking why.
Why are they doing this?
They want to make an example of you.
Because the movie and its audience need a fake enemy. This leads to a school protest because you know how much we want to silence Christianity.
Idiot. Hey, shut up, loser. At least she's standing for something.
Yeah, shut up, loser. Believe in Jesus. Reverend Dave gets a jury summons and asked to go through jury training, which means shenanigans.
Shouldn't you be paying attention?
Please remember, consumption of alcoholic beverages, non-prescription drugs, and weapons are prohibited in the courtroom.
I'm kind of in love with Christian Turk and Christian JD. Let the stupid people's court begin. Seriously, Looney Tunes has a less devilish court than this. But this is one judge who ain't afraid of no atheists. Time to pick that jury.
What is your favorite TV show?
Duck Dynasty.
Your Honor, if we could remove the juror on the grounds of having shitty taste. And is anyone gonna mention the end times going on outside? Anyway, back to jury selection.
We'd like to challenge for cause.
Why is that?
Oh, Your Honor, the man's an ordained minister. Need I say more?
I'm gonna allow to keep him on the grounds of... look, we gotta merge these two plot lines somehow. Careful though, Judge Stennis is a bigger hard ass than his adopted brother, Counselor Stennis. Oh right, the now cured cancer liberal. She's still in this, why?
But now that I'm officially in remission, I find myself questioning everything.
Quick, give her polio so she can be a believer again. And why is Martin Yip still in this as well?
Well, I've been studying the Beatitudes. They're very hard. One might say impossible to follow completely.
I don't care. Say no more Yankee my wanky. That'd be no more stereotypical than this guy.
You know what hate is, Tom? I'm not talking about the fairy tale stuff. I mean real hate. I hate what people like your clients stand for.
Then perhaps no one should tell you about your ACLU colleagues who still continue to defend Christians. The classroom mock court is more respectable than this. Prosecutor Beelzebub tries saying that clearly she was preaching because she knew exactly what book of the Bible to reference. Or it just means she's a history teacher. I think this movie may be getting overdramatic.
If we grant Miss Wesley the right to do that, then our society will crumble.
No, reality television has led our society to crumble. Amy needs her plot line to merge too, and hello, this is a clip from God's Not Dead 2. Perfect!
So, you remember my friend Brooke?
Yeah?
Well, she got a teacher in trouble for asking her about Jesus.
What?
Now, she's not even supposed to talk about it.
Stop asking the Robertsons to act in movies. They're not even real rednecks. Tom brings up copies of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and mentions how the phrase separation of church and state is in neither one, which I guess means religion is not brought up at all in our laws. Shh, no one tell them about amendments or clauses. By the way, driving a golf cart through a playground isn't mentioned in the Bill of Rights or Constitution, but I'm still not allowed to do that. You may proceed.
But you might understand that my client has rights. Rights that trump his agenda.
Ixnay on the ump tray. One of the key reasons for this case happening is Brooke's dad, who doesn't want Brooke to ever hear the name Jesus.
Mr. Thorley, how did you feel when you found out that your daughter had been exposed to faith-based teachings in class?
Well, it felt like we had been violated.
I'm sure victims of abuse really feel for your violation. They even get the other teachers to turn against Grace.
Has she ever asked anyone in the teacher's lounge to pray with her?
No.
Has she ever asked you personally to pray with her?
Objection, Your Honor, cumulative.
Objection, Your Honor. Haven't we proved beyond a reasonable doubt that this case is a huge waste of time? Don't believe me?
God bless you.
Careful, or you might end up on trial.
Mr. Endler.
No, we won't. That'll never happen. Stop trying to put irrational fear into your already fragile victim complex audience. Now let's get the principal on the stand.
Can you tell me the full name of the high school over which you preside?
Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
I noticed that the name fails to mention Dr. King's title as Reverend Doctor.
It's his work in the field of civil rights that we prefer to highlight.
But that's the whole point.
Martin Luther King Jr. is not the Son of God, nor is he the basis for Christianity. But please, continue explaining Martin Luther King to Robin Givens. Guy from John Tucker Must Die. What say you, Prosecutor Satan?
I understand that you attended a service at Miss Wesley's church. And who was it that invited you to that service?
Grace Wesley.
I see. And where were you when this invitation was extended?
At my office.
Two adult teachers can exchange religious info with each other for non-curricular activities. Why is this case still happening? I guess it gives Amy a story because there's nothing else going on in the world.
Can I ask you a question?
Do you think I should get back together with Dean Cain? I mean, look, they brought back rental car guy from the first God's Not Dead. Surely they have enough room to bring back Superman, especially after killing off Hercules. Oh, wait, they killed Hercules. Does that mean God is dead? Oh, maybe they needed this sequel. Anyway, Fred Dalton Thompson, in his last movie role, comes in with some bad news that the evil government needs transcripts of their sermons.
Can they do that? They tried it in Houston.
So now the government can determine what we can and can't preach at our churches.
Actually, it's to make sure you're not endorsing a political candidate, which would then cause you to lose your tax exemption status. But you're probably gonna leave out that little tidbit, aren't ya? At least he's not talking about the court case.
I'm serving on a jury in a case right now that touches on these issues. Of course, I'm not allowed to talk about it, but I mean, the one thing that it's convinced me of is that if we stand by and do nothing, pressure that we're feeling today is going to mean persecution tomorrow.
Mistrial? Or continue on with more bullshit.
Whether we admit it or not, we're at war. The war of Ephesians 6. Not against flesh and blood, but against the powers of this world, against the spiritual forces in the heavenly realms.
He's right. This is almost as real as the war on Christmas, which, by the way, your enemies, the ACLU, once defended the Christmas tree. Now I'm just watching two people eat Chinese food. I wonder what's going on in those midnight car reviews.
My, oh my! This movie reminded me of a lovely time when I was a younger, fairer maiden, when I had to tie up Kirk Douglas and spanked him until his bottom was as red as my cheeks.
You made it impossible for me to jerk off in this. Oh, great. That's even more horrifying. Holy shit, evil atheist Chinese dad is back, and they've learned to both speak the same language this time around, no matter how dramatic it gets.
你可把你家人的脸都给丢光了。你觉得你这样做很有道理，是不是？你不觉得这样很愚蠢吗？
Ah, don't worry. I'm sure this scene isn't gonna go full jazz singer.
放肆！从今以后，我没有你这个儿子。
Holy shit, the movie just went full jazz singer. This isn't that big of a deal. He can dance the night away like Muslim Girl at the end of the first movie. Seriously, I really feel like her story should be followed up on. She was beaten by her father, kicked out of her house, and last we saw of her, she was listening to some newsboys. Is she homeless? Did she find a place to live? Please answer me that instead of giving Martin a musical number. Monster Christian ballads! Tom, meanwhile, is very stressed. He needs to figure out a way to get someone on the stand to scream this out.
Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell!
But they do come up with a good path for victory.
I mean, in my classroom, I didn't talk about Jesus as my Lord and Savior. You know, all I did was comment on quotations attributed to Jesus the man. There was nothing wrong with the context.
And any rule saying that you can talk about any historic figure that ever existed except Jesus is discriminatory.
It took you this long to figure that shit out? You can already talk about Jesus in a historical context. You're a shitty lawyer. Oh, hey, more plot lines to link up.
Sharing one's favorite family, especially not knowing how they will react, can be difficult.
If you think coming out as a Christian is hard, try coming out as gay in the Pure Flix verse. Anyway, on with proving Jesus as a historical figure.
My name is Lee Strobel. I'm a professor of Christian thought at Houston Baptist University and the author of more than 20 books about Christianity, including The Case for Christ.
Coming soon from Pure Flix Productions. I thought I was watching this movie without ads. Why am I getting a book commercial? Sexy Bruce Payne from Dungeons & Dragons is very interested. Strobel is here to prove the existence of Jesus, which isn't what this case is about. The prosecution is saying that she preached to her class. And if she did, Jesus existing doesn't mean you can preach a sermon during class hours. Plenty of religious saviors, messiahs, prophets, or whatever existed. And damn it, Pastor Dave, shouldn't you still be on the jury?
That's it? Those are your entire sermons for the past 120 days?
No, that's a letter that I wrote explaining why I'm not going to hand them in.
Okay, so you're giving up your tax exemption then?
You know the old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, don't you? I have another saying. A nail that sticks up gets hammered down.
What sad fucking world does someone have to be living in order to buy into this shit? Look at this, even David A.R. White's organs are trying to tap out. It's too much even for them. Amy Ryan is on Grace's side as she's giving an interview from her hibernation pod chamber. What the hell? But seriously, why are Pastor Dave's organs trying to rapture?
Caleb, call paramedics.
Well, if that ain't a sign God's not a Pure Flix fan. The ACLU is not made up of sociopaths set out to destroy Christianity. Stop it! Speaking of, the angry atheist stereotypes have gathered outside to scream complete gibberish and look like they're one scowl away from breathing fire down the poor persecuted Christians' throats. Try this scene out with some fire. You can really taste the straw. And yes, they bring in a DNA expert. Totally called for.
Yes, I applied my expertise to the death of Jesus at the hands of the Romans, and I actually looked at the Gospels as I would any other set of forensic statements.
Yes, that's nice. You're still not allowed to preach in a classroom. How about that, Mr. Fung? Now, if you'll excuse me, our witness needs to get back to hosting Celebrity Rehab. I suppose court is adjourned for the day. Cue dramatic entrance.
She didn't do anything wrong. She was just trying to help me.
Brooke! Order! I'll have order! Young lady, your youth is no excuse for disturbing the sanctity of this court.
Ugh. Even Patch Adams with a group of cancer kids with clown noses is telling you to tone it the fuck down. Brooke has to beg to be put on the stand, which is weird, given she's a witness to the very incident that started this wave of bullshit. I'm sure Brooke will save the day.
You mean to say that there were other moments in which she talked to you about her faith?
Yes, but it was outside of school and it was only one time.
Move to strike.
Oops. Oh, well, she still wasn't preaching in the classroom. She was still just answering a question. Why is this over 2 hours?
Why didn't you tell me about this?
You didn't ask, and I didn't think it mattered.
He doesn't need to be privy to relevant information. He's only your lawyer trying to save your career. They're reacting as if their puppy is going to spend the rest of its life behind bars. Remember, stay optimistic.
We're gonna lose this case.
Shittiest lawyer ever! Grace is saddened she can't feel Jesus' presence, despite Pat Boone becoming mummified before her very eyes. But have no fear, plenty of people have an absurd amount of free time in this town.
Hello, Lambda, we're the Pies, and we're here to say we think you are special guys. We got dates.
Imagine what they would do if they found out what actual persecution was. Where the fuck do these people get this bullshit from?
First of all, this trial took an unexpected turn when Wesley's counsel decided to try to prove the existence of Jesus.
Tell me more about tolerance. Guy who fucks chicken sandwiches to keep the gay away. The bigger the case gets, the more angry psychopaths scream gibberish at our heroes. So loud, obnoxious, and ill-informed, it's an excellent impression of an anti-Planned Parenthood protest. Tom arrives to court in a suit this time because god damn he's gonna get his I hope they burn in hell moment.
Tell us, Grace, under penalty of perjury, what was the question that God presented to you personally that night on campus? Answer the question!
He asked, "Who do you say that I am?"
Yawn. I give it 2 Samuel L's out of 10 Jacksons. But this is where the reverse psychology comes in.
I say she's innocent of all wrongdoing, but I'm asking the jury to find against her anyway. I mean, let's face it, she has the audacity to believe not only that there is a God, but that she has a personal relationship with him.
I understand the need for reverse psychology here. The movie does assume its audience have the minds of children. Seriously, the Scott Bakula dog lawyer movie is a better example of our justice system, not this grandstanding bullshit.
If we're going to insist that a Christian's right to believe is subordinate to all other rights, then it's not a right. Somebody is always going to be offended.
That's nice. You still can't preach in a classroom. Which, again, is not what she did. Maybe he just needed to save his own soul patch. God, they are gonna have some amazing anger sex tonight. Just kidding, no romance ever really blossoms here, and given that this is a PureFlix movie, thank God, there's only one thing left to do. Contact the Faith-tastic Four and they'll save the day.
Hey, right now, on the phone, a friend of mine named Amy is on the line, and she's calling about a woman who's on trial.
Why do you keep your phone on during your concert? Naturally, Grace is found not guilty because the budget couldn't afford an electric chair if she lost. She's even made friends with the jury. Well, that was unnecessarily culty. Hail Hydra! Now to deliver the already existing news.
God's not dead.
First of all, that's not what this case was about. And second of all, what if she lost? Would that have meant God is dead? Would you have all converted to atheism? And if you wanted to see the Pat Boone version of the Miss Clara Fuck You Satan dance...
I was out here in Hope Springs.
You did it!
God is good! And then he died. Take that, guy who will just go on about his day.
He outsmarted us.
He played our role in attacking Wesley. He made the jury hate everyone but her.
Not to mention, you proved the existence of Jesus Christ.
He proved it by interviewing people who were there to promote their already existing books. Yeah, okay. You thinking what I'm thinking? Concert? Concert!
My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, growing like a lie.
You couldn't have come up with a new song! And don't forget, join the movement. Text everyone you know. Jesus, bro. And thus ends Clarissa Explains Nothing. The movie wasn't quite the success as the first film, but it still made a good profit, bringing in $23 million against a $5 million budget, all but guaranteeing another sequel, which they are pretty much obligated to do because the movie actually has a post-credit scene. Pastor Dave is arrested for not turning in his transcripts, and if you missed this scene when it was in theaters, don't worry, the scene was in the trailer. But you just told me for the second time that God's not dead. You now need 3 movies to convince me? You had such little faith in the second film proving the existence of God that you needed to sequel bait a third film? Well, I guess that'll lead to more midnight reviews.
And now you see, Mr. Jones, why it was so important for me to take you to Rock Dog, because of the time it reminded me of my faithful canine companion, Moosa Lily. It was a beautiful canine who died in my arms.
I actually didn't have a problem jerking off in this one. Yes, thanks. Any more of those? Okay, perfect. Let's continue. So, okay, go ahead and give us a third film, but can you at least put it in outer space? I really want the catchphrase, "In space, no one can hear you pray." God's Not Dead 2 is more of the same, of course. More persecuted Christians, more cardboard evil atheists, more groups for its audience to spit hatred towards, and more of David A.R. White being too good for a movie studio that he owns. There's so many of these movies that they're very much ripe for parody. Is the Jesus Bro trailer gonna be the stinger for this episode? Oh, you goddamn right it is!
Can you believe this?
You know he has the right to express his beliefs.
And I have the right to have dinner without some overzealous religious fanatic shoving his beliefs down my throat. Your chanting to your invisible sky god has turned my stomach.
You're only one of the biggest YouTube atheist celebrities in the country.
Well, a real atheist wouldn't brag. We simply teach by displaying our superior lifestyle and informing others of their terrible life choices.
Oh, Rick, are you okay?
Okay. All right, can we just end this?
Are you sure you want to do that?
Who are you supposed to be?
Who do you think I am?
A hallucination brought on by a drunken head injury?
You cut deep, Rick.
What do you want?
I need your help, Rick. What we need to do is send you back to Earth, use your internet celebrity, and convert millions of followers.
You expect me to go back to my fans, tell them I had a near-death experience, hallucinated, and talk to Santa Christ?
If you could be less of a condescending schlub about it, that would be preferred.
You won't believe this, Carlos, but I've had a vision. I totally believe in everything the Bible says. I want to take you to a stoning. Jesus wants me to get the word out to my followers.
I don't know. Your fans seem to be rather volatile about things they don't like.
I haven't seen Willie in years. We should really go talk to him.
My life's been tubular since I found Christ, bro.
I'm on a mission from Christ.
What mission's that, bro?
Asking people to convert hasn't been working. How can I force people to believe?
This right here is the biggest tool you need to survive. I call it my war room, bro.
Rick, your story has everything. My company wants to turn your life story into a movie.
Yeah, but people mostly watch me out of fear.
Religious movies are very in right now. We're thinking of calling the movie Do You Believe the Identical is Too Old-Fashioned to Prove God's Not Dead?
That sounds like a spoof title.
Who could possibly make fun of that?
Hey! Jesus, bro.